What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here. Welcome to the final part of my Star Wars rewatch before I go see The Rise of Skywalker. We're going to be talking about the movie that broke the Star Wars universe that's so divisive, the most divisive movie I think I've ever seen in my life, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, I know some people like this one. It definitely has its fans, but a large section of the fandom and the general audience hate this movie. And I fall into the category that absolutely can't stand The Last Jedi. I think it's a terrible movie. I remember leaving the theater, extending my middle finger and flipping it off and booing at the screen because I just couldn't believe what I saw. Now, I was actually excited going into this one because I was like, oh, this one's like, because I was hearing things before, I'm like, wow, this one's really bold. This one's very different from Force Awakens, because I was always alright. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's see what's up with this movie. And my opinion towards the movie has kind of shifted a little bit towards even more negative, like, because it was one of those movies that just, like, it kind of took a while to, like, for the shock to set in of what I saw. And then I was just like, by the end, I was like, wow, I really don't like this movie. Like, the more I thought about it, the more I disliked it. And I was trying to find something valuable, and then it just came to the point where I'm just like, no, I just can't deny it anymore. I really don't like this movie. And upon rewatching it, yeah, I still really don't like The Last Jedi. Now, the first couple minutes, it starts out okay. I mean, there's some bad Yo Mama jokes, which feel really out of place for a Star Wars movie. But, it's shot very well. John Williams' score is good. And some of the acting is fine. Like, Mark Hamill is still a good actor despite how they bastardized Luke Skywalker. But I was willing to give some of this a chance. And The Last Jedi, like I said, it's a bad movie. Like, immediately when the first space battle happens, you have these bombers on a dreadnought. And for one thing, there's no gravity in space, which they've established in this universe, mind you. So I don't understand how those bombs even go off. You have the ridiculousness that is the Mary Poppins scene where Princess Leia is flying around in space, somehow survives that nonsense. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, that was the moment that, like, I knew something was really wrong with this movie. Because and also you have the moment where Rey meets Luke, and he takes the lightsaber. Like, at the end of The Force Awakens, like, okay, here we go. Let's see what Luke is going to do. I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, Luke Skywalker is like, okay, Luke, we need you back. Blah, 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 blah. Then he just tosses the lightsaber. And immediately then, I knew something was wrong. I'm like, wait a second, that's not... What's going on here? Why is Luke like this? That's completely the polar opposite of what Luke Skywalker should do. Luke Skywalker is this hopeful. He's optimistic. He's a heroic figure. But this movie completely takes a crap on it. And Mark Hamill has gone on record several times. You can see him talking about it. And he fundamentally disagreed with everything that they were doing with Luke Skywalker. Because he's like, no, this is... And you can tell Mark Hamill is crushed by this movie. Like, Mark Hamill's acting-wise, like, if this were not Luke Skywalker, like, acting-wise, Mark Hamill does a good job. And there's no denying he is a very talented actor. Like, obviously, he's the Joker and Luke Skywalker. But what they do with Luke Skywalker as a whole is, to me, like, the biggest crime of this movie. I mean, you took the most hopeful, optimistic character in the galaxy, and you turned him into a hermit who says it's time for the Jedi to end. And even Mark Hamill's reaction to it all is like, what is this? Like, I disagree with every decision you're making about me and this character. So Mark Hamill knows the shit, and you can tell he, like, finds a stinker. But even then, like, aside from that, this is a very long movie. It's very boring. It's very, very preachy on certain social and political viewpoints that is really distracting from the movie. Like, there's, like, a whole 40-minute detour that basically yells at the audience about capitalism and nonsense that, I don't really want a Star Wars movie. Star Wars has its influence in some politics, but not necessarily modern politics. Star Wars is taking, like, inspiration from societies as a whole in the past about, like, how dictatorships rise and so on and so forth. It's not based in, like, modern politics. It's a galaxy, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's its own universe. Like, it's a fantasy. It's escapism. But this movie, they try and incorporate some of that stuff. You have this awful character by the name of Admiral Holdo with her purple hair. I'm like, gee, I wonder who that's supposed to be. And she's just lecturing Poe the whole time. She doesn't even tell her plan. So it leads to a mutiny, which, leads to Finn and this character of Roach Tico to go on a 40-minute detour that amounts to absolutely nothing. It's such a waste of time. It's like, oh, Finn's going to meet Captain Phasma again, a character who is completely useless and does absolutely nothing. And then, like, the whole movie is constantly trying to pull those gotcha moments. Supreme Leader Snoke gets killed off rather easily. I'm like, wow, well, you had this guy be the guy who changed Kylo Ren, this big, huge bad, this giant dude, and it's like, and he's nothing. Legitimately, he does nothing. So what was the point of including this character if you're just going to be like, gotcha? Now, I understand that for certain points, some people argue, well, the Emperor in the first movie didn't do this and da-da-da-da-da. No, it's explained. Granted, the prequels flesh out his character more, but he still was the overarching bad. He was there at the very end. Snoke is he's just kind of there. And like I said, it's kind of like with this whole trilogy's vision. It's like you have JJ, you have Ryan, and then you have JJ again, and their visions do not line up at all. They're two totally different filmmakers. The same thing kind of happened with Justice League in a way. Like you had the Joss Whedon vision, and you had the Zack Snyder vision. They tried to drastically change it in response to the divisiveness that was BVS. And that's what's going to happen with Rise of Skywalker. It's going to be a Justice League situation all over again. And ironically, Chris Terrio was the writer in both of them. So, yeah, you're going to kind of see that a bit. But this one, like I said, there's just terrible things that happen. Luke is an asshole. Luke Skywalker, mind you, the character who turned Darth Vader, sneaks up on his nephew and attempts to murder him. And then obviously he's like, he has a moment of doubt, but still, he gives up. Like, he doesn't regroup at all. That's just it. Like, Luke is just done. He doesn't even try. Yoda comes in, somehow, like, is able to control lightning from the afterlife, which destroys, like, the Jedi sacred text tree or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Wait, you mean to tell me that Jedi can, like, use lightning powers to blow up things? Like, why couldn't they do that beforehand? And then another thing, light speed. Admiral Holdo, or some people I've heard called her Admiral Gender Studies with her purple hair and lecturing Poe Dameron about all sorts of things. She goes straight through light speed, right through, Snoke's ship and all the different First Order ships and all that, and just completely eviscerates them. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how light speed works. I mean, if that's the case, then why didn't anybody do this in this universe? You're not following the rules of your universe. Because when you do travel light speed, you're going through kind of almost like a wormhole in space in a way. Like, it's it wouldn't work that way. It's ridiculous, because then it makes you think, why didn't anybody just do this beforehand? Send a bunch of little ships and just go light speed travel through them. It's ridiculous. And then those things have shields too. So what the hell? Oh, man, I'm only a few minutes into this thing. But yeah, they do that. There's this 40-minute detour, which to me is like some of the most insufferable bits of this movie, where Finn and Rose go and they rescue some animals. They meet Benicio del Porky Pig and is stuttering, and he just kind of disappears in the movie. Yeah, think of it. I don't even know what happens to this guy. He gets his money, and then that's it. You never see him again. Did he die in that explosion? Like when Holdo ran through all those ships? I don't know. Yeah, it's a cool shot and all, but it kind of breaks the rules of the universe. It creates a whole slew of problems. Because it makes you wonder, couldn't they just realistically fly some drones with light speed and crash them into every ship? Hello, anyone? Oh, Jesus. And then we have the Force projection things, which is a neat idea, mind you. I think it's cool that the Force is kind of being, fleshed out a bit more, we're seeing new elements of it. But some of this stuff is just, when he Force projects himself, mind you, I was noticing issues too, yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense. He's Force projecting these dice too, and then those are still there even after he disappears. And I noticed too, when Luke Skywalker showed up, well, I shouldn't even call him Luke Skywalker, as Mark Hamill says, called him Jake Skywalker, because it's so far removed from everything that Luke Skywalker represents. Yeah, Luke Skywalker, after he's like, I gotta go help my friends. Oh, yeah, this Luke Skywalker, it's time for the Jedi to end, I can't do that. And I'm like, why would you take the most hopeful character in all of Star Wars and just take a big dump on him like this? It's really, truly awful. And in, certain things from The Force Awakens are pretty much ignored. Because, JJ had his things, because J.J. Abrams wasn't going to make Rise of Skywalker. Colin Trevorrow was, but then they fired him because there's no clear vision for this trilogy. There absolutely is not. And if Palpatine's coming back, Colin Trevorrow even said he didn't have Palpatine in the script because there's no vision for this trilogy. And it's obvious, too, because Rian Johnson just pretty much just threw everything away when he made this one. And then he left the next group of people, wondering, okay, what are we even going to do at this point? We'll bring back Palpatine. We'll try and do this stuff. We'll set up for this. And it's just not going to work. What else can I say? Yeah, the stupid Canto Bite stuff where they get arrested for illegal parking. Illegal parking in a Star Wars. Give me a goddamn break. Just so they can lecture about that. They rescue the animals, mind you, but they don't rescue the kids, which is really stupid. Luke Skywalker dies, and that to me is the moment that broke me. I'm like, okay, Luke's coming back. There is a nice funny moment too where he kind of brushes things off. They have that battle at the end. Oh yeah, other dumb things about that battle. Let's talk about that final battle. So mind you, Admiral Holdo never tells anybody her plan, which is really stupid. All she had to do, like, if she would have just told them her plan, we could have cut out like 40 minutes of this whole movie. Like 40 minutes of this movie wouldn't have, but like, you know, they kind of written themselves into a corner when she just didn't tell them her plan, because then that led to the mutiny, that led to them trying to get a code breaker and all sorts of nonsense like that. There's no reason for her not to tell them her plan. It leads to the mutiny. Leia's like, you stupid man, you. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like, way to shit on Poe Dameron, like one of the characters is actually trying to do something. But Holdo, and ironically, her plan backfires because it ends up leading to more people getting killed in their little ships, which are, you know, incapable of defense. Hux is Kylo Ren's kind of whining still. Hux is a pathetic excuse of a general. He's just the punching bag, which, mind you, does lead to some entertainment. I gotta admit, it is fun to watch this guy get the shit beaten out of him. So I'll give the movie that. There's some entertainment value there. You know, John Williams' music is good. And like I said, there's some nice shots, but really it's just, God, I do not like this movie. What else can I say? Oh, the dumb thing at the end. Finn, whose character seemed like he was going to be like set up very interestingly in The Force Awakens, is kind of just thrown into this thing with Rose Tico, and this really, really dumb moment where Finn's like actually going to do something heroic. I'm like, okay, here's something nice. You're like, okay, they're going to, you know, do that, subvert our expectations. It's like, okay, here he is. He's going to do something heroic and, you know, try and sacrifice himself and do something noble. I'm like, okay, I'll give you this movie. That's a bold thing to do. And I'm like, I was all for it. And then Rose Tico comes in, knocks his ship out of the way and crashes like, it's not about, we're not going to do this. It's about saving what we love and all this other bullshit. And she kisses him and John Boyega's like, what? He's just confused by the whole thing. Oh my goodness, how far into this thing are we? Yeah, it's goddamn ridiculous. And Luke Skywalker comes up. Luke Skywalker dies, mind you, which is absolutely awful. Just a complete goddamn disgrace. He wasn't even there to show up for his final battle. There's no dignity there. He's just force projecting himself. And at first, I'm like, okay, Luke's still alive. He's going to come back next. Oh, no, he fades away because they wanted to have that shot with the two suns. It's like, ignores his journey from before. But it's like, this man is so far removed from who Luke Skywalker is. It's sad. Like, it really just, like, rips at your heart because you're just like, wow, this is so not Luke Skywalker. And everything he stood for. It's like, it's a slap in the face. Now, imagine we took Superman and we did that. Like, I understand there's, like, injustice, but that's supposed to show why that's wrong, why you shouldn't do that with Superman. Imagine taking, like, Christopher Reeve's Superman and turning him into an angry guy without, like, I know Superman 3 has that whole moment where Clark is possessed by kryptonite, but that's him being possessed. That's not really Clark to his core, and then he has to be reminded, like, after he overcomes, like, that, you know, illness, he, like, is, the illness he attains from the certain kryptonite, and then he triumphs over that because, you know, that's who Superman is. Luke Skywalker doesn't do any of this. Luke Skywalker is still that angry hermit pretty much the whole movie. The only thing he does is like a force projection bit, and yeah, another thing too is, like, he has this force projection bit where he has these dice too that he gives to Leia, but yet but he was force projecting it. How do you even get them there? And then you had the battle there where Rey, oh yeah, another thing too that was pretty dumb was Rey was flying the Falcon, and she's facing off against these TIE fighters in the final battle, and then they just completely disappear from the final battle, like, for Luke to fight them. I'm like, okay, Rey, why not fly back around and attack the ships? Attack the AT-ATs, attack, you know, the little rammer that they have. No, she just kind of flies back down and disappears, and I'm wondering, like, what is she even doing? Kylo whines to Luke Skywalker, which is pretty funny. There was a nice chance to do something interesting with this whole subverting expectations thing, where Kylo Ren, like, kills Snoke, and he confronts Rey. He's like, all right, you know, let's let the past die. Let's kill all this stuff. Join me, Rey. You know, if Rey actually joined him, I'm like, okay, that would have actually been something kind of interesting. But, of course, they're never going to make her look bad because she's Rey, and she can do all this amazing stuff. And, you know, we can't have her look bad in any way. So there's nothing interesting about her journey at all. I'm sitting there in the theater, I'm like, yeah, they're not going to do anything bad with Rey. Rey is perfectly fine because, you got Kathleen Kennedy running the whole ship and all that, and nothing bad's going to happen with her. So, I just wondered that. I'm like, okay, I know nothing bad's going to happen with her. There's no suspense there whatsoever. But they had a chance to do something interesting, but they chose not to. Because this whole movie is just about a gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And even, when they have that lightsaber battle with her and Kylo and, Snoke's Red Guard people, the choreography is kind of messy, too. There's some cool moments. But, some people have pointed this out, too. There's parts where, some people just deliberately miss her. There's parts where the guy's blade just completely disappears in shot. It's just oh, this looks kind of cool, but it's also kind of messy. And after seeing this movie, some people like it, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with people liking it. I personally don't see how or why. I really can't get behind this movie. I really don't like it. I feel like this is the one that just angered me the most in terms of Star Wars movies. And legitimately, I was hoping to like this thing. I wanted to like this thing. I didn't want just a rehash of A New Hope like I did with Force Awakens, because Force Awakens is a movie I didn't really care all that much for like so many people did. I think it's just kind of all right. But this one was even worse. This one was just insulting. I mean, we waited all this time to see Han, Luke, and Leia together, and thankfully at least Mark Hamill had one scene there. And Mark Hamill, you can tell, he's probably the biggest fan out of the core group between Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. He was okay, here's my part's gonna come in. And it's wow, I figured I was gonna try and be this heroic figure now, like I used to be, come in for the big hero moments and inspire people again. And no, not. We just completely shit on him because we can't have our classic characters like Luke Skywalker be heroic anymore. We gotta subvert expectations. We gotta deconstruct the whole thing. Oh God, just give me a goddamn break. Just no. I just can't get behind this movie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Like I said, I talked about the kids, talked about Admiral purple-haired lady. I talked about how this is just kind of a mess of a movie. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I did an hour-long video a few years ago when this thing came out, why I hated it. So you can check that out. Oh yeah, Admiral Akbar dies. Forgot about him. Well, then again, the movie forgot about him too. Everyone loves Admiral Akbar or Trump. But no, he couldn't be heroic or anything like that. We kill him off. We don't even acknowledge his death. He's been around for over 30 years and all that other stuff. But no, can't do that. This trilogy's a mess. It truly is. At least the prequels had George Lucas's vision. I'd rather watch Attack of the Clones. I'd rather watch Phantom Menace. I'd rather watch this than Solo. I'll give it that. I think Solo, to me, was the worst Star Wars movie. And then I'll put this one slightly above that. But there's still and then Phantom Menace slightly above that. Because at least Phantom Menace, it didn't, shit on, the other movies like this one did. It's shorter. There's some redeeming qualities, I guess. But this movie, no. I just can't get behind it. I just can't. And anyways, that's going to wrap it up for my Star Wars Rewatch. Come back. I believe today's Wednesday when I'm recording this. I watched this last night. I'm driving on my way to work. Come back tomorrow. I'm going to be checking out The Rise of Skywalker. And, yeah, it's going to be quite the experience. It should be fun. It's going to be a total mess. I already know this. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. The Rise of Skywalker video is coming out tomorrow. And then this Friday, I'm debating whether to see Jumanji or Cats. I definitely need to check out both those movies. But Rise of Skywalker is definitely the big one this weekend. And from what I've seen, from reactions, even to the people who, they rip on fans for critiquing these movies, even they are kind of mixed on The Rise of Skywalker. It's weird. It's kind of like the trilogy is just going to be kind of ending in a disjointed, messy way. So, yeah, because, I've seen a lot of the leaks, because I just didn't really care at that point. And, yeah, it is definitely messy. It's definitely not a smooth transition between visions, so it'll be fun to talk about. So, anyways, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care now. Comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Last Jedi sucks. End of story. Bye-bye.